I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors of the podcast, Switch Nutrition. And more specifically, I want to talk about these two products that I'm holding in my hand right now. These are my favorite products that I take every single day, one at night and one in the morning. The Adrenal Switch is the ultimate sleep formula. I take this thing every single night, 30 minutes before bed, and I sleep like a baby. It's filled with 3 main compounds, ashwagandha, zinc, and magnesium, which are all essential to help you wind down. To be honest, I've tried so many sleep formulas and they never seem to work. So when I sat down with the team at Switch, I asked them why that was, and they said the main reason was the dosages that are in all of their competitors a lot of the time aren't enough to make an impact. And with Switch, you do not need to worry about that. The Adrenal Switch is honestly my favorite. I've been taking it for years now. Every single night, 30 minutes before bed, you'll sleep like a baby. And of course, the second supplement that I love from Switch is their brand new supplement called Hydrate. You see, people seem to think that water is enough to stay hydrated, but the reality is it's not. You need the sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which you find in this Hydrate supplement, to actually keep you hydrated amongst the water that you are drinking. So every single morning, I put one of these sachets in 500 to 700 ml of water and I drink it straight away, getting me ready to go for the day to make sure I am hydrated and fully equipped to attack the day's activities. If you want to try the 2 supplements that I take daily by Switch, the Adrenal and the Hydrate, you can go to switchnutrition.com.au and you can use the code Griffin at checkout to get 20% off. Alternatively, click the link in the description or the show notes below and you'll be able to go straight to switchnutrition.com.au. And once again, use Griffin at checkout to get 20% off. Maddie, I'm so fascinated by your story, your brand. What brought us today was obviously today was Merchants, your baby and your company, a company that I love, and obviously you started. And I'd just love to kick this conversation off with where it all began with that take me back to the start of that journey of creating Merchants of the Sun, which now people call as Merchants. Take me back to where that started and then we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, I think my first introduction to jewelry was probably my late teens. I started to become fascinated and interested in it. And I found it was really inaccessible at the time, especially in Australia. There wasn't a lot of brands that I knew of. There wasn't somewhere that I could go and just buy some nice men's jewelry. So it was always, I might chance upon a piece at the markets, or I would find some in a little novelty store somewhere. But I started to realize that I felt like there was a big opportunity to create a product that became more accessible and more readily available. And I think, it was definitely a novelty at the time for men to wear jewelry. It wasn't a common trend. I think nowadays it's becoming more and more common, and it's becoming a staple part of most guys' fashion. But yeah, at the time it was really early days. I had a peak of interest in my late teens, and then I started talking about it to lots of people, and I said, I have this idea. Like, I really want to start a jewelry label, and there was elements of life that I didn't pursue it yet, but it wasn't until probably 6 years after I actually started talking about it that I actually initiated exploring it, and first started with sketches and exploring different ideas and designs. And I actually started the business with my little brother, so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, I'm keen to do this. Like, let's find a silversmith to bring out ideas into life. And we connected, and we went to Bali to find a silversmith, because I mean, for me, Bali is it's home for me and my brother. It's where we grew up, but it's also the home to some of the best silversmiths in the world. It's generational for them. The Balinese have been making jewelry for hundreds of years, and I knew that I wanted to create a product, and I knew I wanted to design it. And I knew I wanted to create a brand and a community, but I realized that I wanted to spend my time in the designing process and the creative side of it, and not necessarily on the tools making the pieces. So yeah, I made the decision to find a silversmith in Bali, and I set up the business pretty early. Early 2019 was when we first started connecting with silversmiths and exploring different ideas and designs. And me and my little brother, we made, I think our first batch was like 100 pieces, and we had no money. So I think Harley had $2,000, I had $2,000. We put it in, and we're like, okay, we got no money for marketing. Like, we had no savings, and we're like, how are we going to sell these 100 pieces? And we actually went to Etsy first. So Etsy
Sell them on Etsy.
Yeah.
Was it called Merchants back then?
Yeah, it was still called Merchants of the Sun. We had explored a few different names. One of the ones that was kind of sticky fruit was Stone Jewellery. I liked the concept because it was really simple, but then I'm like, that's not going to stick.
The community around stone jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you just quickly, you said it took you 6 years from idea to actually executing something and bringing something to life.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I think it wasn't, I probably just didn't feel capable of starting a brand or a product. I definitely had to find my own confidence and my own ability.
Bit of imposter syndrome, maybe, just like who am I to be creating this? Yeah,
exactly. I didn't grow up in fashion. I didn't grow up around jewelers. So yeah, I think it was a fantasy for a very long time. But I think it was kind of created out of necessity. It got to a point in my life in my early 20s where I was like, I was freelancing, I was studying part-time, I was working part-time, and it wasn't sustainable, and it also wasn't fulfilling for me. I didn't have any purpose in what I was doing, and that necessity to go, like, I need to create something for myself, and I want to create a product or a brand that I believe in. I was working quite heavily in the creative space, so I was freelancing a lot, and it was an opportunity for me to explore different creative avenues without being restricted by a client's brief. Yeah. So yeah, flash forward, Etsy, 100 pieces. We figured that Etsy was actually ranked number 1 on Google. So in
terms of it ranked.
For example, if you went to Google at the time and you searched men's jewelry, Etsy was on that first page within probably the first 3 listings. Now we realized, okay, we're not going to get onto the first page of Google very easily, but we realized we could actually get onto the first page of Etsy pretty easily. So we figured out predominantly my brother did. He figured out the algorithm behind Etsy, and we managed to get the Sunwalker, which is still to this day one of our best sellers, to be the number 1 men's ring on Etsy, and it was on the
best seller, is it not?
It is the best seller.
By a mile. We
were
were in the car the other day, and you said that it makes up like 20% of your entire sales is this one ring.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. I think what's so fascinating is you spoke about, I wanted to build a brand, I wanted to build a community.
Yeah.
But it all started with some jewelry. Was it just rings that started with? You had necklaces as well. Was it just rings?
Yep, just rings. 4 rings, 4 designs. We only did 4 sizes as well, and the 4 sizes were our 4 finger sizes. We didn't actually realize that people all had different finger sizes. So yeah, we were pretty naive.
Yeah, right. It's so cool though. I love looking at these founder journeys where they, you don't really know. You're building the ship on the way down. Like you're trying to figure it out, and it's really cool to see where you and your brother taking that. So, and is your brother still a part of the business or no?
Yeah. So pretty early on, 2020, we officially launched the brand February 2020, and then it was pretty quick. Within 3 or 4 months, me and my brother realized that we couldn't work together. We were both had different creative visions for the brand and the product, and that was clashing quite a bit. And we kind of made the decision like the relationship's worth more than any product or brand.
For sure.
And it was a difficult process to have that conversation and to decide, okay, like let's do it side by side and create two different brands. So my little brother owns a brand now called Salty Dagger, which is also one of the leading men's jewelry labels in Australia.
Really?
Yeah. So we work really closely now even to this day. So he's actually in Byron at the moment setting up a fulfillment station and a shop for himself. And
good on him.
My staff are helping him set all that up because in the past he's only had 3PL. So yeah, we always kind of collaborate as much as we can.
That's really cool. It's really cool to see. It's cool that you can, go your own ways in the exact same, like direct competitors.
Yeah.
But still support each other. Does that get really challenging at times?
Yeah, I think it's, there's a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. We don't really talk about financials or the health of the business. But when we face smaller problems, I think I like to believe that we can come to each other and help each other solve those problems. There's a lot of players in the jewelry industry space now. And, I'd rather me and my brother be on top than anyone else.
Is there skill sets that your brother has that you lack and there's skill sets that you have that your brother lack? Or are you very similar in that sense? Both very creative?
Great question. Yeah, we're very unique. We're very unique. I usually view my business on a lot more of a macro level. And I try not to get stuck too deep into the
weeds of it all.
Yeah, into the weeds of it all. Whereas my brother, he's a doer. He loves to get stuck in, and he'll try and do everything himself before he'll ever outsource it. Whereas I'm like, okay, like that's not my expertise. I'll find someone that can do that so that I can keep doing the stuff that I want to do. So that was a really big difference in the way that we work.
Do you think that would help? That would be a catalyst for growth though, because when you're having the ability to outsource something and not be like, oh, no one can do it better than me. You have that ability to free up some of your time to work on the business and work on bigger things.
Yeah.
Is merchants like, I've never heard of the Salty Dagger, but is merchants like, would you say it's a fair bit bigger? I mean, you obviously would know. I am biased as well. I've not seen it, but I just love your jewelry and I love your brand. And so it's like, I speak very highly of it. Yeah. But how do you find having obviously when you're around as brothers, and does he look up to you and your brand or because it's obviously bigger, or is it, how does that dynamic work?
Yeah. I mean, if he does, he's never told me that, but yeah, I think there's something to say is that we're very unique in our branding and the way that we run our businesses and our product and our messaging. And even though we do sell the same product and we do sell predominantly to the same customer base, I think we're very unique. We're very unique.
Is it a healthy competition?
Yeah, absolutely. And I never see it as competition. I don't see that as competition. I feel like with my product, my brand, I'm very focused on what I'm trying to create. And at the end of the day, I'm not trying to compete with anyone else. I'm competing with myself. I'm competing with myself to create a better product, or to tell a better story, or to shoot a better campaign. That's the only person I'm competing with. Yeah,
for sure. No, cool. It's just so fascinating because even when we drove down here from my house, which is 5 minutes away, and on the drive I heard two cha-chings on the Shopify notifications go off, and in a space of 3 minutes there was 2 sales coming through, and you're like, oh yeah, I just uploaded new photos that I've been working all week on, and we've uploaded them and they're going gangbusters. And I was like, well, how much is each one of those sales? And you pull it out, it's $400 each. So $800 in sales in 4 minutes. Like people love your brand, and you're getting sales all around the world from your jewelry, and you're creating this reputation of we are the space you come to for this trendy sort of, the way I look at it is kind of like that rustic, premium but rustic, surfy beachy culture vibe of jewelry. Is that the brand you're trying to go after, or is it something that you've been pigeonholed into accidentally?
Yeah, that's definitely where our roots lie, is in that rustic surf culture. I think the brand is maturing a lot, and I'm trying to steer it, the product and the brand, I'm trying to refine it and steer it more in towards the streetwear space. I think we'll always have that coastal surfscape aesthetic behind us, because that's where our roots are. But I am trying to elevate the product and the brand a lot, and really break into, I wouldn't say necessarily break into, but yeah, just definitely refine the product and the brand, and continuously just trying to elevate it.
Okay. So the whole saying around, if it's not broken, why fix it? Do these things ever cross your mind when you have something that's booming and going so well, yet you want to change?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a common question. It's funny. I was just literally doing a brand positioning meeting with my staff yesterday, and that was a question that came up. That was, as we're trying to refine the product and the brand and elevate it, we have to be cautious of alienating our current audience and our current market, because that does lie within that coastal surf culture. But the way that I see it is, I'm not trying to alienate our audience. I'm trying to bring them along on this journey. And I think we're all, my demographic is maturing. I'm maturing. And I think I'm trying to bring everyone along this journey and helping them refine their style and, pave the way, I think, for what's possible within jewelry design in Australia, particularly. I think there's a lot of the same out there. And I want to continuously innovate and bring new ideas and new materials. And
I think what's powerful about that too, though, is the more you do that and you refine it, the more rare and high end your old stuff will become as well.
Sure.
Like when I look at like Eminem's music, like people love his old stuff. Don't get me wrong, his new stuff still slaps and people love it. Yeah. But people love these OGs, love his old music.
Yeah.
And it's like the way I see your brand going is like that Sunwalker ring is never going to go old. Yeah. It's just going to age like fine wine.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned the amount of those rings you sell is crazy, and there's people all around the world wearing your jewelry. And for me, even when I look at like all the stuff I'm wearing, I wear it every day, and like it's remembered. People go, okay, what jewelry do you wear? Okay, it's merchants. Like that's what I wear, and I see as the evolution goes along. And you said keep trying to elevate our customers' design and style. It's like I see a level of connection with the brand, meaning you change the style, we still stick along because you've built this thing and you've loved the product so much from now. So you have this trust that the next ones are going to be really good. And when I've seen some little samples of like ones with gemstones and things like that, it's really cool to see where your head is at and where it's going.
Yeah.
Like, is there something wrong with where it's at, or do you just think it needs to change to get to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think and again, there's nothing wrong with where we're at. It's a lot more competitive space, and we have seen a lot more brands pop up in recent years, and everyone's stuff is looking the same, and I want to create something that's unique. I want to give. I want people to look at my product and be like, wow, like I've never seen that before. That's a really cool concept. I love that. And for the customer, I want them to wear a product and can walk down the street or go to a bar and people are like, that's a really cool design. That's a really cool ring. I've never seen that idea or concept before. And I think it's, when I say elevate, it's really just innovate, innovate our product and our idea and be a leader in that space.
Have a level of difference. It's like good artists copy, great artists steal.
Yeah.
And all the copycats that just steal or copy all of your stuff aren't unique. They're not doing anything special.
Yeah.
But being able to take something as steal something and add your own twist to it and make it special. That's what the great artists do.
Yeah.
And so being able to like study the market and look at all the things that, you know, could have changed and put your own unique twist on it and make something special.
Yeah.
Because reality is, man, you're gonna release some sick rings.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, there'll be 50 brands probably dropping the exact same ring.
Yeah.
But people will know that you're the unique one. Talk to me about like patents and trademarks. Is there anything you can do with unique designs for rings and jewelry as a whole?
Yeah, we've explored it, and we have had brands that have literally taken like our 4 bestsellers and got them remade in China and removed our brand names. and I don't know how to address it because
what do they sell them? It's cheaper? Are they selling them cheap, like undercutting you as well?
Yeah, for sure. Which again is another more reason why we need to keep innovating and changing our product, because otherwise it's going to be a lot of the same. You know, I feel like we've definitely led the charge for that type of product, and now it's time for us to create a new product.
Yeah, pave a new way
that everyone can follow. But yeah, so to go back to your question around patents, we have our brand trademarked and our brand name trademarked, but you know, when you're continuously creating new products every 3 to 6 months, it's very expensive and very hard to.
And if you're not sticking them around, it's more so if you have those signature ones. Like if there was a way you could like patent the Sunwalker design and go, no one's taken that. When you see that on someone's ring, which is tens of thousands of people or whatever, they know it's merchants. Yeah. And it's like something cool like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Also, when you're doing drops and things like that, it's like the aim of the game is to keep innovating, keep doing new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not stick to the old things. I want to digress a little bit and more talk about you and your upbringing. You mentioned just before you grew up in Bali, Australia. Like, talk to me a bit about like where you've spent the most of your time growing up, and yeah, I'd love to know about that. And then off the back of that, we'll talk about how that kind of shaped your creativity and the rest of it.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in a pretty big family. I have 5 brothers and sisters. 5
of each.
Yeah.
You said 5 brothers and sisters.
No, 5 brothers and sisters, so five altogether. not 10 brothers and sisters.
How many brothers, how many sisters?
So I got 1 brother and 4 sisters.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then older sisters?
2 older sisters. I've got a twin sister and I have a little sister.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So 2 half sisters, so they're from my dad's first wife. I was raised in Byron until I was about 10, and my dad, his background he was an ex-pro surfer, surfboard shaper. Mum, she's bounced between different jobs, but we had a very hippie household growing up. You know,
hippie household.
I was can't remember ever wearing shoes. I mean, half the time I can't remember wearing clothes as a kid.
Right. And whereabouts did you grow up?
In Byron Bay.
In Byron Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was there till I was about 10 or 11, and then parents split. Dad moved to Indonesia. Mum stayed in Byron, and I went off to boarding school.
Boarding school?
Yeah.
Which school?
I went to TSS.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I was only there for 18 months, maybe 2 years. I was lucky enough to get an academic scholarship there. Parents couldn't afford for me to study there, but they took me up to the goal and like, hey, like take this test and you might be able to go to school. And I took the test and they're like, yeah, cool, here's academic scholarship. So I did that for like 18 months. I definitely didn't fit in. You know, I was a Byron kid in completely in a completely different environment, and all I'd ever known was Byron, really. That's all I ever experienced. So it was a completely new world for me, and I struggled to fit in. And after yeah, after 18 months, I hit up Dad and I was like, Dad, I can't do this. Like, I want to come to Bali. And he's like, cool.
Wow.
And so I flew to Bali and was homeschooled a little bit. And then all through my teens, it was pretty much just bouncing back and forth between Oz and Bali.
What about schooling?
Yeah, so
Because you said you got an OP4.
OP4, yeah.
Correct? And your sister got a 1.
Yeah, my twin sister got a 1.
Insane. For people that don't know OP, that's like the ultimate score you can possibly get in school. And you got a 4 and she got a 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she got all the brands, but I don't know how I got an OP4. But I was surprised. I think when you do the test like the year before and they kind of give you an expectation of what OP you're going to get, and they gave me an expectation of like an OP 8 to 10. So I was really surprised when I got an OP4 the next year. I must have got my shit together.
But schooling, so where did you?
Yeah, so homeschooled a little bit in Bali, and there were stints that I didn't even go to school at all. And then I remember, I think I was about 16. I remember being in Bali and feeling like I was missing out on, seeing all my friends that were all going to high school and
in Australia.
In Australia,
right?
And I just felt like I was missing out living in Bali, which is really ironic. And I think, and in reflection, obviously,
grass is always greener.
Yeah, grass is always greener. But I just wanted that normality, so came back to Oz and finished high school here on the Gold Coast. Did my last 2 years here.
Yeah, and that was Marymount. No. Where'd you go to school?
St. Michael's.
St. Michael's.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, cool. And your sister came with, or was your sister always in the Gold Coast?
My twin sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was always in the Gold Coast. Funnily enough, me and my brothers and sisters were split up quite a lot growing up. Me and my brother, actually, I'm pretty sure we weren't even allowed to live with each other for a period because we just used to beat the shit up. Excuse me, sorry, beat the shit
out of everyone. Right. Okay. Wow. So this is so fascinating. Okay. And I wanna fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And get back into talking about the business specifically, because what I'm so intrigued about is how creative you are and how you're so creative focused.
Yeah.
Has that always been the case growing up into school and like, have you always had this creative touch to things? Did Bali help influence that?
Yeah.
Being out in nature all the time and.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think my dad's a shaper. At the end of the day, both my mom and dad were very creative. And, as a kid, like I drew a lot. And I love to do art, make things, build things. Dad was very handy with woodwork. So, yeah, there was always some sort of creative facet that I was exploring as a kid. But I really feel like I found my stride in my late teens and my early 20s when I started getting into graphic design and creative direction and photography and started to learn about that and enjoy that. And I feel like that's really when I started to mature as a designer and find growth.
Yeah, and did you go to uni?
I did. So
because you got an OP4.
Yeah, so
you could go to nearly anything you wanted.
Yeah, so that was the other thing is my mum having five brothers and sisters. My mum couldn't afford to pay for us, and as a single mum. She's like, you're 18, you have to go get a job. And so I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. Straight up high school, I had to go and find work. So I didn't even have an opportunity to go to uni. I tried to get Centrelink, and the Centrelink, they said I was still classified as dependent because you
didn't have a fair reason to be out of home or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I really wanted to study, but that wasn't the way that it was gonna unravel. So
wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
And looking back at it though, it's probably a blessing in disguise because it probably made you have to be resourceful, make you do other things that sort of probably took you more down that creative path as opposed to the academic path.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. I think sorry, I feel like it's
those little moments where in the moment you're like, I really want to be doing this. I should be doing this, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's those pivotal moments that quite literally can change the trajectory of your path and wherever you're going. And that's something that I see in a lot of people. And it's funny, and the reason I ask about creativity so much is I've been listening to a few podcasts recently from some other creative founders. One was on the Diary CEO, the founder of Represent Clothing. Yeah. And he basically said that the best business move he ever did was when he got a CEO on board and stepped away because he realized he's like, I'm not like a businessman. I want to create. Yeah. I want to focus on creating and doing all the things that the creative aspect of the business is what I really want to work on. And I see this with a lot of people that are really heavily creative. A lot of the time don't want to be in the weeds as much. They want to be able to paint that vision, be creative and steer the ship in terms of, not steer the ship, but like paint the picture and the direction of where they're going. And, for you, like, how is it like running that? You mentioned you've got a girl doing operations now, which saves you a lot of being able to step away from the weeds. Like, how much of a role does that play for you? Yeah,
and that's a really good question. That's something that I think I realized early on for us to grow and scale and to continue bringing out, you know, innovative products and continue to be creative. I realized I had to step out of the weeds and bring in the right team to handle the more day-to-day admin side of the business. My first hire was Lani, who is now operations manager, but she really started just, you know, working side by side with me, packing orders. And as you do, you know, in a young e-commerce business, you wear so many hats. But as the team's grown now, you know, we have an e-commerce coordinator, we have an operations manager, and we have a trickle down team underneath that. And that has really opened up time for me to take the space and step away from the day-to-day admin to enable me to find inspiration and find creative ideas. And I try and go on design blocks I mentioned this yesterday, but I try and go design blocks every 2 or 3 months where I'll turn off all contact. I'll let my team know, and they're well prepared for it now. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to design block. Like, we're not going to be contactable.
For how long?
Usually it's a week or two. And
in Bali?
Yeah. So I'm based out of Bali. So I usually leave Bali because that's still kind of my home and that's my working environment. So for me, it's really stepping outside of my working environment, turning off any stimulation. So phones, computers, everything else. And I'm a big surfer as well. So finding that balance between, you know, just slowing down and being more receptive and letting ideas and inspiration come, and then drawing and sketching. And it's not even until, you know, a week into those design blocks that I actually really start to find momentum and start creating pieces. And then it's like a switch, and it comes in like a tide.
And then when you create those new pieces and designs, obviously you're not crafting it all in that design block, right? You're literally just getting creative and like drawing, sketching out the designs. Yep. Do you then go back to is it Steelsmith? What are they called?
Silversmith.
Silversmith. Yeah. And then you then bring them all those designs, and then you get in the warehouse and start watching them make it all and everything, and then see if you like it and whatnot. How does that work?
Yeah. So I guess that's phase 2 of the design process, and that's starting to work with my guy that does our wax molds. So we use a technique called the lost wax casting technique. And we make from my sketches, I work very closely with an Indonesian that will bring each of the sketches to life by hand using wax. And he'll hand carve every element of it. He's managed to get my unique style so down pat that he can emulate my handwriting. He can emulate pretty much anything that I can sketch out to probably almost better than a 3D model or a 3D design.
Wow.
So that's been really cool. So that process can usually take a couple weeks, and there's a few design iterations, something that maybe I sketch or conceptualize in my head on paper looks great, but then when we create a wax mold, I'm like, okay, that doesn't work.
Right. Right. So then, okay, it's interesting. And in that business, obviously, when you started and you created the four rings,
Yeah.
did you do the same sketch mold with the wax mold and everything like that, or how was that process a little bit different when you were starting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't come from jewelry design. The first 4 pieces were inspiration that I had found online, and I had tweaked or amended, and like, you know, like you said, the best artist
Good
steal.
artist copy, great artist steal.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just, you know, I'd find shapes or usually, and that's even to this day, it's the same design process. I look for shapes or forms.
Mm.
You know, I look for a shape of ring. Hey, I really like the shape of the ring. How can I work on this to bring my own design style into it? And in the early days, my very first 4 designs was basically that process. It was looking for a shape or a design and then going, okay, like I'll use this stone or add this motif or add this symbol and make it my own.
Mm. What do you love most about the business?
Funnily enough, it's I actually do love the business aspects of e-commerce. I feel like every day is problem solving, and I feel like that's where I flourish. I think every time I'm faced with an issue or a problem where most people might, you know, get stressed, that's where I rub my hands together and that's where I get excited, and that problem solving is what I enjoy. So yeah, the day-to-day stuff is fun, and the bigger problems when you solve them is really, really fulfilling.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So do you feel like that part of the business is more, it lights you up more than
Not than the creative side, no.
Not than the creative
No.
side. There's no way.
No.
I'm like, if you sketch something sick and you're like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Like do you ever just like jump up and down and go like, let's go?
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's one facet, but I think, you know, it's not just all creativity. I think there is a lot of the business side of that, and I just wanted to make a nod to that. But by far, that being able to conceptualize something, bring it to life, you know, see someone else, that was something that still is one of my biggest milestones, is seeing someone else wear a piece or find sentimental value behind a piece that you designed is more fulfilling than any dollar value.
Mm.
And, you know, that's something that pushes me to create and innovate every day, is knowing that, you know, someone's going to buy this piece and it's going to find meaning behind it and it's going to wear that and bring their own personal style to it. Mm. I think that's something that I enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about the business. Let's talk some numbers for a second. When you launched that Etsy store, how long did it take to sell the 100 rings that you had online?
Good question.
Was it one of those things where it fell off the shelf or no?
Yeah, so that was actually before we had officially launched in 2020.
So let's fast forward then to, so we assume you sold 100 rings on Etsy, did you?
Yeah, we did. I think it took us like 6 or 7 months
to sell the 100 pieces. Yeah. Oh shit!
And then we're like, okay, like, it wasn't like this instant like trajectory.
But when you launched in 2020, it kind of wasn't it? No.
So when we launched in February 2020, we had put an order in, and we didn't have, like, because we'd sold on Etsy, we didn't have at that time an audience or a customer base, and you know, we did have friends and family that would purchase from us, but that's not gonna.
Did you have an Instagram page? We
had an Instagram page. Still really
same one that it is now.
Same one it is now. We had a shop, so we'd said, okay, now when we're gonna launch with our own website, because in the past we only had Etsy. So we launched on our own website in February 2020. We dropped, and I think we sold
4 rings as well, or what do you have?
I think it was still 4 designs, if I remember correctly. No, there would have been like 6 or 7 designs at that point. But yeah, we put a lot of work into it, and we're like, okay, like, let's launch. We go on live, and we sold 2 rings.
You sold 2 rings. Like when you launched, you sold 2 rings.
When we launched.
Oh, I love that. All right.
So then we're like, okay, now we need to get serious. Now we need to like figure it out. And that's when the real grind started. And that's when we started diving into marketing. It was still, you know, an early frontier for e-commerce at that point. It was COVID. A lot of e-com businesses were starting to boom, and we were very lucky that everyone was stuck inside and cashed up.
Yeah, and a lot of government money. A lot of government. ScoMo was handing it out left, right, and center.
Yeah, exactly. So then it was, you know, second month, you know, maybe sold 50 rings. I remember third month, there was definitely a bottleneck in those early days.
50 rings, that's still a decent amount of revenue.
Yeah, maybe it was less than that. I apologize.
What would be like, how much money would
it was 50.
Month
it was 50. Yeah, it was probably about 50 rings. So we gained momentum pretty quickly.
So is that like $5,000?
Yeah, it's about $5,000.
Or a bit more.
Yeah,
$7,000 or something.
We first released our products for $79 and $89.
Were they?
That was the cost of our rings.
Your rings?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we had no.
How did you go upping the price?
Yeah, that was just gradual. $15 here, $15 there. But yeah, we haven't really. The first jump we did, we jumped up to about $129. And that we hadn't sold enough products or hadn't enough customer base to make a real big impact. No one was really chucking a stink. We had no idea our business. We had no idea how to price our products. Is it
still priced at that much now, or is it more?
No, that same piece that was $129 is probably $160 now.
Yeah.
So it's still not actually that much of a change. But the third month we sold maybe 75 rings. And then it wasn't until the back end of the year, because we launched at the start of the year, it was a lot slower. It's not really sales. You know, it's always this, it's kind of the slump period for e-commerce. And then I came into Christmas, and by the end of that year, or by the end of that financial year, to be honest, we rounded out $1 million. In sales. In the first year of business.
In the first, from financial year. So June following year, 2021.
Yeah.
Right. So $1 million in sales of rings. You had necklaces at this time, and
I released my second collection in December, and that was I
bought my first ring, I think it was in November or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Sunwalker ring, and that one that you're wearing right there, the with the stone in it on the other hand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the second collection was the year one collection, and that was the NV ring that you're wearing, and also the cuff as well.
Yeah.
And that was our first kind
flying.
of that was just breaking into like another product category rather than just rings. Was nice for guys that don't wear rings. They had something else that they could wear. 2 chains. We did 2 chains. We did the dust necklace and the dust bracelet, which is also 2 really big sellers for us.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So fast forward then to mid 2021, in a financial year, you cross over $1 million.
Yeah.
What did 2021 look like? On the back end, obviously another booming December. Did it keep growing? What were the numbers?
I got to this point in the business where I just felt like we were always playing catch up. I felt like I was always behind the 8 ball. I brought on a business advisor, and she was basically like, you need to release more product. You need to be designing more product. But I was stuck in the weeds of the business. I was trying to keep the business running and afloat and trying to sustain that scale and growth. And I wasn't designing that much, and I wasn't shooting that much. I had really stepped away from that creative field. So the business did kind of, I think we hadn't necessarily lost, but we were moving away from what was our brand IP, you know, what was our storytelling and our creative vision, our aesthetic. So that second year was really trying to find my way back to the start and trying to find more time. So that was bringing in more people, hiring a team, scaling a team. And we had really good trajectory in that year as well. And then I got to the point in 2022 was it 2022 where we shut down the business.
I remember.
Yeah.
You shut down the business.
Because I still was at this point where I was like, I don't have time to design. I don't have time to be creative. And I was like, this isn't why I wanted to start merch, and wasn't why I wanted to create a product. And I wasn't being fulfilled. So, I took that time we were doing incredible numbers on my business. We got like outside advice. We're like, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. And everyone's like, you're stupid.
So how much money, when you decided to shut down the business, how much revenue were you bringing in?
At that point, we were probably doing 150 grand a month.
150 grand a month.
Yeah.
And you decided to close the doors.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and I was annoyed because I really wanted to get this piece, and I was like, oh, I'll just wait till next week to buy it. And then next week you had closed and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I actually think it was this necklace I'm wearing right now. This one. Yeah.
Yeah. The switch. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, where are these coming from, man? I love the bread. But yeah, and I remember you shut down, and I'm like, what are these guys doing? I remember speaking to my best mate and business partner, Sam. I was like, dude, like, he loves your stuff too. And we're like, man, shut down. You were doing $150,000 a month and you shut the doors.
And we had stock as well to sell.
You had stock to sell?
Yeah.
So why?
I wanted to slow down, and something that was really important to me was creating a business that was ethical and sustainable, and not putting out product for the sake of putting out product, but putting it out with purpose and intention. And I felt like we had deviated from that, and we had lost that. So I had, I said to the team, hey, we're going to pause the business. We're going to go back to the drawing board. I want to be really clear on what our values are and our pillars are. I want to be clear on what we're doing and what we're creating. I want to refine our messaging. I also want to talk to our customers and understand what our customers want. So we did a survey around the same time, did a lot of product research and customer research, and took that step back so we could take 2 steps forward.
And is that what it did? Taking that step back, was that because that would have been the hardest thing for you to do, right?
Yeah, I think we lost. I think we closed it ended up being about 2 months. And
2 months.
Yeah, and then we lost about $300,000.
And like, did you have this just certainty that was the right decision, or were you just shit scared to do that?
I was scared. I remember coming through the back end of it, and I was just like, what have I done? Have I just thrown it all away? And I just kind of come back to this thing that, every decision I make, I was going to make that decision anyway, and I have to back myself and have to believe that it's going to be okay. I'm an optimist every day of the week, and I know that it's going to work out, and it's for a good reason. And I think now in reflection, it was absolutely necessary, because I think we probably would have, and it kept growing and kept scaling and gotten to the point where we would have lost our personality, what made us unique.
So you launched back after 2 months.
Yeah.
And did it boom? Was the first month back massive?
Yeah. Yeah, it was big.
And was it like you had never left? If not better?
Yeah, I think it was, the sales hadn't changed drastically. We saw a little boost, but I think what was different is that we were clear on what we were doing, and that made all the difference. We were able to communicate better to our customer. We were able to make product with more intention, and we're all aligned on why we were building the brand in the first place. Yeah. Yeah,
right. So it's just fascinating. Okay, and then fast forward a little bit more. That was 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So from 2022 to 2023 financial year, what do the numbers look like for that?
Yeah, so I think the business scale plateaued a little bit after that, not necessarily just due to the business, but the market as a whole. We saw discretionary spending go down. people weren't shopping as much. So that's growth and scale plateaued. We didn't go backwards, but I think we finished the year at close to 3 million.
Yeah.
Which was good numbers, but it wasn't where I knew we could be and I knew where we need to be. I had this feeling that maybe we had hit the top of the Australian market with our advertising.
Were you leading the men's jewelry in Australia?
I definitely felt so, yeah.
At 3 mil?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't think of any other brand in Australia that was doing those sort of numbers.
No.
There's definitely European brands and some UK brands that I'd heard of, and then there were some fast fashion brands that were hitting those sort of numbers. But to be able to create, a product from recycled metals in a small batch process, holding only limited stock, closing down for some of the biggest periods of the year, like Black Friday, we refused to discount, we refused to go on sale. So I felt like for what we were doing and building a brand with intention and being sustainable and ethical, by far, I think we were the biggest brand.
Not even choose to not discount. You shut your store on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So you didn't even, it's not like you didn't discount the products. You shut it down and sent an email saying we don't believe in impulse consumer spending. Yeah. So we're shutting down. Why did you shut down on Black Friday, the biggest day in e-commerce for the year? You guys chose to shut down.
I think I think it goes back to another reason why I wanted to build a business. I wanted to show people that it was possible to sell a product without having to sell mindlessly, without sell. Sorry, I've kind of blanked.
No, you're fine.
I think I really believe that it was possible to sell a business without ever having to discount your product or without ever having to go on sale or, manipulate or convince your customers that they need to buy your product because it's a sales season.
That's not community, right?
Yeah, that's not community. That's not building a brand with intention and purpose. So yeah, that was big for us.
Was that your idea to shut down on Black Friday? Or
I think so. I could be wrong. I mean, I have a good team, and we're always bouncing ideas off each other. But with a lot of our initiatives, it's a collaborative discussion.
Because I'm hearing this story, and there's time and time again we're hearing these decisions that just seem to go so against any business's thoughts.
Yeah.
And you guys seem to make them. Shut down for 2 months. Shut down on the busiest day of the year. Like, these don't add up, but in saying that, by doing so, it kind of creates this community and culture within the brand that's sticky.
Yeah.
Because they go, oh, they're not in it for this. They don't, if they're shutting on there, and then so it maybe even draws people closer, would you say?
Sure, absolutely. And I think it just goes back to, that reason why we're doing it is that we're not trying to make money. We're trying to create cool products. We're trying to create a community. We're trying to build something that people can connect with and feel empowered by. And, we can help people find their self-expression through style.
Mm.
So when you go back to, our purpose, those sales periods just don't align with us and what we're doing. So
is $3 million what you did last year, or is that financial year? For
financial year 22
to 2023?
Yeah, 22, 23.
So what about calendar year of last year? Like, was that a bigger year in terms of, if you were to look at like a calendar year from Jan to December, was it a big year, or is that sort of same numbers? Or
we're still seeing growth, which is great. I won't be specific on exactly what growth that is, but we launched into the US start of last year, and that was a whole journey in itself, and we made a lot of mistakes, spent a lot of money, and it's only really I think from November, December, after a couple of key decisions that I made, we're starting to see really rapid growth over there.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, cool. I just get fascinated because you, as we were saying in the car here, the Shopify ding dings.
Yeah.
It's one of those sounds that never gets old. Hey,
I usually don't have it on, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's uncharacteristic to me to have it on because it can definitely. I don't know how. It'd be really interesting to understand how that affects your psyche and your psychology and like how you think, and because you don't want to have your, whether you're having a good day or a bad day dependent on whether you had a good day in sales or a bad day in sales,
Yeah, I see that.
So it's really important.
It's the same with everything. Like it's like having your Instagram notifications on when you post something and it goes crazy. Like obviously I have no notifications for any social media on.
Yeah.
But it's on steroids because it's actually monetary. It's money. It's like
it's dopamine.
It's so much dopamine, especially with the cha-ching noise as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And before the show, I got you to write a quote for me, something that you love, and you mentioned two, but I've got one written down here that we're going to read. I'd love to get your thoughts on, but it's from Marcus Aurelius, and you said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." You've spoken a bit about how much you like Stoicism and you resonate with a lot of the stuff that the Stoics say. Ryan Holiday, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
What does that quote mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's learning to accept that, there's going to be good things and bad things that happen to you every day. Most of that is not within your control.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very small portion of what is in your control. And if you try and, control those other areas, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to be stressed. You're going to spiral. And it's as soon as you can accept that and realize, okay, like a lot of this stuff I can't change it. So let it be and roll with those waves.
It's like you're wearing a massive backpack that's heavy and you just need to let it go. Because all those things that you're worried about and the things that you can't control are just weighing you down.
Yeah.
And there's this level of feeling free when you can just let go of that and only focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah.
It's definitely a special thing. It's definitely a special thing. And when you were over at dinner the other night, you were mentioning if you didn't grow up in Bali, you probably wouldn't live there now. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because
you grabbed onto that one.
Sorry. Yeah, I remembered that. It stuck with me because I've thought about it. I've thought about going over there for extended periods of time. And you said if I didn't grow up there, I wouldn't live there. Why?
I mean, I think firstly, this is going to be probably not the answer you expect, but I think a lot of people that come to Bali now see it in a very different light the way that I see it. I've seen, I saw it 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Nowhere near as commercialized.
And nowhere near as commercialized. You saw the real Balinese culture and it's an incredible place. Like the Hindu, the very unique Hindu culture they have there is like nowhere else in the world. The Balinese are beautiful people. You have incredible beaches, incredible landscape, pumping surf. But I think, if I hadn't grown up there and I hadn't been influenced by a lot of that, and I'd probably experienced what most people experience on a Balinese holiday, which is kuta or seminyak, staying in a villa, partying, and drinking bintangs. It's not idealistic where you're like, oh wow, I'd love to do this every day and live here.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other side of it is that my family lives there. A big portion of my family. Grandparents, uncles, aunties, my dad, my brother, my sister. So just being close to my family is a very important reason why I would live there. And if I didn't grow up there and they didn't live there, then I probably wouldn't live there.
Yeah, right. Okay. See, I think it's fascinating because the things that come to mind straight away is, it's dirty or can't drink the water, like all of those factors.
Yeah. I will say that even to this day, Balinese, if you go to the right places, Bali's an incredible place. There's an incredible community there of digital nomads and expats, and everyone's working on on something or grinding on something. And there's incredible gyms, there's incredible restaurants, there's incredible cafes, bars. I think the level of hospitality there surpasses Australia in my opinion.
For sure.
So there's all that there, and there is really cool and interesting communities there. And I think Bali is a place that it will give you what you want. You know, if you want to party, you can go there and party. If you want to go do yoga and go do silent retreats, you can absolutely do that. If you want to go and surf and get pumping waves and not socialize at all, you can do that as well. So I think it's a playground for a lot of people, and no matter what you're into, you can probably find your community there.
The jack of all trades, as in terms of a country.
Yeah, exactly.
I certainly want to get over there this year, and I'll definitely keep you in the loop when I'm there. Because I need to know some places. Never actually been. I've been to Thailand, but I've not been to Bali. So I'm keen to go and explore. That's for sure. Is there anything specific as we wrap up the chat that you'd want us to talk about? Is there anything missing you feel like you would be cool to have a chat about? Anything exciting coming up that maybe you'd want to share?
Yeah. So there's 2 projects that I'm currently working on, which I'm really excited about. We're starting to explore soft goods and apparel for the first time, and that I feel like that is it's something that I refused to do because it didn't align with. You know, I didn't want to create a product that was already there. I didn't want to create a tee and just stick a logo on it because there was already enough of that. But what I have realized is it's opened up the possibilities of how I can storytell. You know, it's opened up the possibilities how I can shoot a campaign. You can only shoot hands and neck and ears so often. So I'm really excited about that aspect of the brand and growing the product range for the brand. I'm also building a space in Uluwatu at the moment, another house of merchants. So pretty similar concept that we have here on the Gold Coast. But I've really enjoyed working closely with a designer and architect to bring that to life and make everything really considered and create a cool space that I think is not there yet in Bali. So
it's going to be similar in terms of like a showroom of your products.
Yeah, but it's going back to the name, it's not Merchant Sun, it's a house of merchants. It's our house, but it's also a home of hopefully a lot of other people, a lot of other products, a lot of other brands. I'm going to have a little coffee bar in there.
Oh, cool.
I'm inspired to like create like really good like single origin coffee. And
I'll create merchants coffee.
No, sorry, not necessarily create merchants coffee, but actually sell single origin coffee. Yeah. My apologies. I'm going to have it's going to be a multidisciplinary space. So we'll be able to have events there. We have art galleries there. It's going to be a really open plan. It's a massive space, and it's 2 stories. So upstairs, I'm building my playground, which is going to be a photo shoot studio, a workshop, my own office, and just a real cool creative space where I can go every day and be inspired and create with him.
That's so cool. Are you building that as we speak?
Yep. I'm actually, the handover's on Wednesday next week. So that's why I got to fly back for a handover.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
And when are you expecting to have that launched?
Yeah. So I have to do the fit out, which is a whole nother ball game.
Big budget for that.
Yeah, I've got some money to play with, which I'm really excited about. It really means that I can have fun with it. But the biggest issue is that I can't find a contractor or builder in Bali. So if anyone's listening and they're a contractor or builder, hit me up because I
know a guy. I can help you out with that.
Yeah, I really need help to kind of bring so that the build's finished, but to bring my vision, the fit out, the interior design, to bring that to life, I need kind of someone to get me across the finish line, someone that knows where to source materials that are not necessarily easy to find in Indonesia and furniture, lighting, those kind of areas.
Yeah, I might be able to help you with that one. The guy I literally had on the pod yesterday, knows a lot of people over there. He's building some villas over there right now. So
Okay, cool.
See how we go.
Yeah, I think.
Cool with that. Well, awesome, man. Exciting. So you've got the 2 main projects coming out, which is soft goods, clothing, t-shirts, hoodies. What's
Yeah, some tees, hoodies. I think I've designed some pants, towels. I've kind of got carried away with it. I had a lot of fun. It was really cool to kind of explore a a different facet of design.
And then you got your space coming out in Bali. So for everyone that's tuning in and you've made it to the end, go and check out Maddie Banks. How do they find you on socials or?
Yeah, Merchants of the Sun. You can plug that into TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We have some incredible short films and culture series videos that we've done that you can learn more about the brand and myself. Or you just drop by our shop on the Gold Coast and hopefully in Bali soon. Yeah,
drop by the shop in the Gold Coast soon. I'll have all the stuff in the show notes. You guys can check it out. But we've been wearing all the jewelry all this episode and every day, to be honest. I love it. So it's cool that we've been able to connect because it is the brand that I choose to wear. So if you guys want some awesome jewelry, then definitely go check out Merchants of the Sun and pick some pieces up. I'm wearing the Griffin ring as well, which is my last name. So it's called the Griffin ring, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank God.
I've done a play on the letters though, so it's not actually how you spell Griffin.
Okay.
I think I actually had a customer correct me, that's not how you spell Griffin. I'm like, okay, bro.
Yeah. Well, I just saw this piece there and I love blue. And then I was like, what's that? And she's like, a Griffin. I was like, take my money.
Yeah.
Last name's Griffin.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys have stuck around, I'll leave all of Maddie's details and Merchants of the Sun details in the description and in all the show notes. But definitely go check it out. It's the best stuff you'll ever wear. And I can
actually add that piece was designed by one of my best mates, Wesley Lewis.
Okay.
He's a photographer. He created that piece. So I got to give a shout out to him.
Awesome. Shout out to Wesley Lewis for this one. Now, if you guys have stuck around to the end, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. Leave us a review or hit that follow button on whatever platform you are listening on. It'd be greatly appreciated. It helps the show grow, helps us get amazing people like Maddie on the show as well. So thanks so much. And is there anything else from you, man?
Nah, thanks for having me, bro.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man. You.
Let's go.